What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top of the map in the red color, playing as Thor. It's Mr. Clean himself, F2's very own Squash. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Ra. His name is Grassengroom. He's going to grass you, then he's going to groom you. I don't know what that means. But potentially, he's going to be playing some Ra here. We've got an Egyptian versus a Norse player on the map Anatolia. Now, if you are not aware of the history of this map in tournament for the longest time has been Isis versus Zeus, Isis versus Isis, or Isis wins. That's been the trend from like the inception of this map in a tournament since the time that players could pick or realize they were playing on Anatolia. Normally you'd see Isis picked. However, I am of the opinion that the reason Isis is so good on this map is not because Isis is broken, but because Isis is incredibly streamlined, easy to play. Everything makes sense without having to think too much about it. I.e., I mean, this isn't even Isis here now, remember, but i.e., Isis gets prosperity, which gives her gold, which allows her to use the food she gets from the fish brim, which gets her to the heroic age really fast, which then allows her to use Ancestors' Eclipse to really hurt her opponent nice and early, which allows her to take control of the middle of the map and then win the game. That's the reason why Isis is so absurdly strong here. However, what about all the other gods that are a little bit less streamlined? You get Thor here. Look at the wood that Squash currently has in the bank. It's a lot of wood right now in the bank, and he's already thrown a dock down. He's pumping out fishing ships. He's moving his old sark over the other side to drop another dock down. He's going to be getting a boom happening really, really fast here. So Squash is going to be having the same thing that Isis has, but doesn't have access to Ancestors' Eclipse. So what do you have to do? Counter Ancestors' Eclipse. How do you counter Ancestors' Eclipse? Ursa. So we're going to see or we don't actually have to counter Ancestors' Eclipse because it's Ra, but still same kind of pattern exists here that you can spend your resources on Hersa in order to get some sort of an advantage early. And that advantage normally comes in the shape of a fast second town center of some description, a nice quick heroic age of some description, and all the other good stuff that comes with having a really, really fast boom. Like if you compare what Grassengroom's got out right now, he's got himself 5 fishing ship. Squash, on the other hand, he's already on his 7th fishing ship right now. So, and he's getting this next dock up with plenty of wood in the bank. He was a little bit slow to get over here, it seems. He drew this house up, getting up onto this dock. I think it is potentially possible to throw houses down and get both these docks up before you hit population cap, but that might be different here for Thor. You might have to throw both your houses and then get the dock up, but nonetheless, this is going to be a very, very fast classical age here as well. Squash will need to throw up another Ulfsark here, but it looks like he's not going to do that. He's just going to go for the one Ulfsark getting the temple down. We'll see how it's going to go. I recommend Thor players to get 2 Ulfsarks on this map, so you can have one building docks at the top of the map, one building docks at the bottom of the map, and then one building houses and one building an armory and all the other good stuff that comes out of that. Grassengroom, on the other hand, his dock on this location, incredibly slow here. Incredibly slow. It's actually best to drop this dock before the temple here, as Grassengroom throws it up a little bit late. He's going to be having a little bit of a worse off archaic age than his opponent here, but he will have this temple up in time. So the thing that I recommend is throwing this dock up at your 3rd villager on wood, after your 3rd villager on wood, and then you take the villager off and you come back and you're all good. Because Grassengroom right now is floating a little bit of wood that otherwise probably would have liked to have spent here. Jumping back over to Squash's perspective, he's going to be hitting the classical age 4 minutes and 10 seconds, it looks like. I do think that the 5-minute advance time is the best way to play this one for Thor, but Squash is Mr. Clean, and he's going to show us how it's done here. He's going to keep building these fishing ships over here, trying to grab all of these fishing locations that he can. Docks coming up on this side over here as the Ulfsark's making its way over there. This Hersa coming out of the temple, going to drop another dock on this side as well. And we'll see how it's all going to wind up as Dart coming through here for Grassengroom. So still very, very quick for him as well. Choosing to drop the Pharaoh onto the gold mine here is a little bit of a weird move here, actually, as I think, well, I mean, you do need the extra gold income to get to the next stage. But, yeah, for some reason here, Grassengroom, he's not building the rest of these fishing ships that he otherwise should have. And a third dock here is on the top side of the map, kind of missing here as the villager decides to get a little bit aggro moving up to the top side. He's going to be throwing this dock down right next to Squash's dock, but I imagine Squash is just going to say, no, sirree, Bob here. As the other hearse are going to move in, drop the dock down. No real problems here. And Squash hits the classical age at this point. We'll see what he's actually bought at this point economically. He's got himself hand axe, no pickaxe just yet. Grassengroom, on the other hand, he should have both of his upgrades coming in, and it looks like he is not getting any of them. As he's just about to hit the next age, I imagine we'll start seeing the longboat coming out, the Valkyrie coming in here, going to start getting some harass here, the longboat hitting this one as well, but the dock does end up getting up here for Grassengroom, which is going to be a big help for him. It allows him to leave a ship inside of this dock and have a lot of advantage controlling these waters at this point. But Squash here just about to get his final fishing ship over on this location. After that, dock gets up, dock over here as well. Longboat's going to be coming out in full force here.
Yo.
As Squash moving his dwarves over onto gold. I do think that on Anatolia, it is well worth it to throw villagers, or gatherers, I should say, onto golds here as a way of playing. We do see the Valkyrie coming in here, probably going to be dropping that forest fire down. We see the villagers immediately retreating back. The priest's going to be getting some good damage done. Villagers turning around, getting some shanking done as they're going to be moving away, possibly onto this location over here, nice and close. No problems where that's concerned. As Grassengroom just playing a little bit defensively here. Obviously, maybe not so obviously, but for Anatolia, it's really quite difficult to find an advantage pushing your opponent, because this dock, if you take a look at the stats, at this point with 3 fishing ships inside it, shoots 2 arrows. It's probably worth about 1 longboat or 2 longboats shooting against his opponent. So you can always fight down ships underneath the dock, and you also have the defender's advantage where that's concerned as well. As Grassengroom trying to push in, trying to get some good damage done on this location. And look at this. Squash gearing up to get to that next stage. Still no armory just yet. He's got a whole bunch of units ready to throw that armory down. It does cost a fair bit of resources here, but he's focused fully on this fight over here. Good micro thus far. Trying to control his boats as best as he possibly can. As Grassengroom going to have to retreat back. Attacking. I don't think you should ever really... Like, I'll try and explain this, but attacking on Anatolia is generally bad unless you've got an advantage. And that advantage comes in the shape of like heroic age myth units. Dionysus, Nephthys, something like that. Or even in the shape of simply having an upgrade for your archer ships, which is also important, as we are seeing that armory now coming down for Squash. So that's what's important there. To keep in the back of your mind when you're playing on this map, is to try not to attack your opponent and just say it's all good unless you got an advantage. So the other advantage could be you have a really strong land push to go with it, like Hoplites, Promethean, Valor, Oracles, all that good stuff. As we are seeing Bragi, the god of choice here for Squash. I don't mind Bragi if the idea is we're going for a really early Ragnarok here while holding our land. But generally speaking, against Ra, I want to hold that Frost. I say this and don't do it myself because I'm bad at the game, but I like saving Frost here for Son of Osiris. Son of Osiris here is incredibly difficult to deal with for Norse, and saving that is a very, very important thing to do. But maybe this flaming weapons is going to come in handy here for Squash. As we are seeing this fighting is still ensuing here on this location. So Squash not actually able to grab that town center like he might like. But what it means is with Grassengroom pushing through here with all these cabinets, it means that Grassengroom is not going to have been able to get the 500 gold he needs to advance to the next age. So you know in the back of your head, if your name is Squash here, if you're playing in Squash's perspective and you see all of these cabinets, that Grassengroom is not going to be going to the heroic age. So he can play around that. He can play around that, jump straight to the mythic age without any real necessity to worry about a heroic age coming, rocks coming, all of these things. He doesn't have to worry about. He doesn't have to mark this. He doesn't have to he has to trade here really nicely. But we'll see what Squash is actually deciding to do here. Throwing down some longhouses. I really would have liked a mythic age here. Tyr, in this situation would have been absolutely perfect, because it would have allowed him to get Yormid Elvers to claim back these shores over here, and also he would have been able to grab the town center without having to spend any more wood on archer ships. The other thing he can do here is actually get himself out some what do you call it? Siege ships here to hold on to this a little bit, but not going for that. Instead, Hill Fort going to be coming down here. Ulfsark's getting produced here. Battle Boards coming in. It's going to be a really, really big heroic age timing coming through for Squash, it seems. And this is another really good way to play around it. This is something that works really good with Loki. Haven't seen it done with Thor, so we'll see if it's going to be a good idea. And it's effectively, if your opponent decides to commit hard on the water, you take a lot of the villagers off of wood, you chuck everyone onto food, you make a ton of Hersa, and you go for a timing attack with flaming weapons. But Squash here is continuing to build up units here, making a lot of infantry units. As this dock is going to be taken down, Squash still has these fishing ships on this bottom side of the map hanging out. The battle board is going to be starting to move in here, and we'll see what Grassengroom is going for. Grassengroom will be able to get to the heroic cage here, so he will be able to throw down a Migdol stronghold. He is throwing up a barracks. He will have access to Patsukos here to defend against these battle boards. But the question is it going to be enough? Because he needs to start making axemen like yesterday, and he's got no idea what Squash is going for at this point. As Squash is nearing close to 115 pop, going to be jumping straight to 130 pop behind this as well. Plenty of food in the bank to boot. As the Dwarves grabbing this gold mine over here, Dwarves going to be moving forward. He has to be a little bit careful about the rock here. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to send these villagers nice and close to this gold mine where he's thrown up this hill fort here either, as the villager here trying to sneak out, but it will get taken down. As Squash is still mustering an army up on this location. The dock over here going to be getting taken down. The cabinets cleaning this all up, getting a significant amount of damage done to Squash's economy. But as you can see, it hasn't really mattered all too much. Squash now 2 town centers to his opponent's 1 town center. He's going to be getting that, nullifying that economic advantage that the Grassengroom has found here very shortly. As the battle balls swinging in here, they're going to do so much damage. This rock over here needs to get going and start looking for some raids here. It's very important that happens. But the Patsukos coming out. Grassengroom has his Migdol up, starting to make some units here. Probably no need to make cavalry at this position, just axemen and units. But look at this. All of the population right now for Grassengroom is spent on cabinets on this location over here as well. 2 cabinets. Just no population for Grassengroom to really use. He's got tons of resources in the bank here. If he goes Mythic Age through Osiris here, it's going to be absolutely huge. We'll see, does he have a market set up? He does have a market. He can sell that wood right now, go Mythic Age, and have a really, really good time following this game. We'll see how it's going to go as the Hersa does get taken out. Battleboard trying to push in onto this location as the Hersa slowly getting cleaned up. But the Pharaoh getting taken out here is a really, really big issue. Going to be garrisoning into the temple town center over here. Does have a idle priest technically over here that can re-heal that Pharaoh, as more priests coming out to try and deal with these battle boards as the building's getting torn down, as Grassengroom not really even using his rock here to hold on, as the Migdol on the back side over here going to be getting thrown up. More of these cavalry, very useless cavalry getting produced at this point as the barracks getting thrown up. We do still have 1,500 gold left on that gold mine as Squash is still trying to break through these buildings. The priest popping out here going to try and take down the battle balls, but Squash has to pull back as Osiris has clicked up. The question is, how is Squash going here? He spent all of his resources on army, doesn't really have the resources remaining here to continue in this game. He's got a lot of idle Ulfsark in this hill fort that he won't really know about. One of the little known facts, if you've ever watched Squash's stream, he actually doesn't play with idle military on. So he's only going to know that he's got idle military if he actually hits the idle military button, which I'm not sure if he ever does. And there he goes, does notice it there as he's got those Ulfsarks that pop out. And we'll see how it's going to go. He's grabbing another town center as the cabinet's going to be pushing in here. Good micro from Squash here to keep his longbow Boit alive. We'll be trading that one off. Happily dealing with the other cabinet here as the unit's going to be swinging around this side as Grassengroom going to be moving over to try and grab this town center right now. The village is getting caught out ever so slightly as Osiris just about to hit here. Where is that Pharaoh at is the big question at this point, as we do see the rock coming in onto this location. Potential Locust going to get dropped down here and try and pick off these villages. He's got quite a few here as the more battle balls are coming in. There's no units to raid on that side there. Did we see the Pharaoh is here, so it is ready to be clicked on. So there is still going to be Son of Osiris and the potential for a big comeback here for Grassengroom. But Squash, we'll see if he's ready for it. We do see that Locust is on this location. Handful of villages do end up falling. Not that big of a deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 villages for a heroic age gold power. Good trade there for Squash. Coming forward, Squash is about to be able to click up to the next age here as he's got a dock trying to come back up over on this position. Over here is the unit's going to be retreating back. The Son of Osiris coming in. So we have Flaming Weapons here. So Flaming Weapons is going to be huge. Squash now clicking up through Balder. Balder going to be coming in. Market setup might be starting to make some trade here, as well as the rock floating around on this location. We'll see how things are going to go as the town center going after the rock there. We do see that this dock is now up. If Squash wants to try and get some cheeky fishing ships back up over here, wouldn't mind seeing that. If he goes rag here, it's a really big thing. But Balder plus Flaming Weapons, something we don't see very often, but something that is incredibly strong, was a pathway to Thor's success in the days of ESO, but was considered a little bit too strong when it came down to it for Voobly days, and did get hit with a slight nerf. Instead of Flaming Weapons giving double attack onto the what they called rag heroes, it gave 0.75 or 1.75 times attack onto the rag heroes. So still does a lot, but we'll see how things are going to go as the armor is still coming in. We're starting to see those armory upgrades getting popped out here as the cabinet's getting taken down on this location over here. Squash trying to grab as many resources as he possibly can here as the chariot archers pushing through. We do still have these battle balls here. Good little delay there. I'm not sure if he did it on purpose or not, but it allowed the chariot archers to get pushed into those infantry units really, really nicely there as they all get taken down. Grassengroom cannot be affording losing units at this point here, as he is behind on resources quite a bit here, it would seem, and behind on position as the unit's going to be pulling back here. Grassengroom here is finished up on gold, hasn't started a trade route just yet. He's on this gold mine here, which is easily going to get pushed off by a rag here as the micro coming through here for Grassengroom, trying to hold on to this location. The heavy Huskar do so much damage here. They are a true hard counter to the chariot archers as the rock raid's beginning, but it's a little bit too late here for Grassengroom, as Squash here not going to be panicking at all with this click up to the Mythic Age. He's getting some of these Drakkar out and starting his own fishing ship shenanigans here, taking these guys out. It's very, very smart, as we are going to be seeing Grassengroom having a push here, but Squash realizing he doesn't even need to click Ragnarok here. There's no reason to. He's got no real reason, actually deleting a battle ball there potentially for a replacement Fire Giant or something, maybe getting himself some more upgrades, maybe fortified town centers, and just hanging back on this location. It doesn't matter. He's on 4 town centers. He's going to get a huge rag coming out here. A very, very smart decision here in the end from Squash, and we'll see how it's going to go for him. If it's going to bite him in the foot or not. Because normally what ends up happening when you give your opponent all of this time is they can wall up, they can start a trade route, they get tons of walls, towers down, and it can be a very difficult time ahead of them, as we are seeing now Grassengroom attempting to push in onto this location, but he's got no real pushing power. And I think this is something that I worked out in a game I recently lost here, is that if your opponent's got this army, Axeman, Chariot Archer, Son of Osiris, he's got no pushing power whatsoever. So you don't even need to click rag here, as we do see that mummy does manage to take down a Fire Giant there. That's a big kill there, as the rock's going to be able to take the mummy out of here as well. But Squash hits Ragnarok, 286 of 160 population. Armory upgrades for Squash here, incredibly good, sitting at Iron Mail at this point as units pushing in onto this location, units converging on everywhere over here as that flaming weapons is going to be absolutely brutal here as the Son of Osiris getting slightly caught out. There is still the Ragnarok here, so the Rock here I should say, so he can take that out as we do see a bit of a shifting sands pulling the units back into the home location. Flaming weapons still remaining here. Armory, building upgrades non-existent for Grassengroom at this point. Grassengroom trying to spend all of his resources as best as he can as the army just going to be bashing on the front door. But here's the thing, as this is going on, Squash still going to be getting himself plenty more resources to boot behind this. He's got all of this fish over here. He's got this fish over here. He's got this fish over here. He's got the trade route as well. So it's not like he's got no economic units at all. So he's still going to be getting resources as this game is coming along, as the army still looking to push through. The army does swing in onto this location, pushing off this gold mine over here. There is another gold over here that potentially Grassengroom could take, but he does lose that there as the Rag Hero is going to push in onto this location over here. Army still taking its time before it starts coming through. We see the Rock picking up a cheeky little catapult here, going to be going for some sort of a rock raid onto a town center. Very difficult to deal with here for Squash, trying to push in here. As the flaming weapons does end up coming up, we see 25.52 damage per second on these units here as Grassengroom going to pull back in onto this location, going to drop onto this Migdol, pull back here, start getting some good damage done onto the battle balls and everything else over here. As the Kevin's going to take down this docker on this location as Grassengroom realizes he needs to get that happening as well. But it looks like the town center is falling pretty fast as the Son of Osiris getting caught out of position a little bit there. Going to have to see that dealt with in the near future here. See if he's going to be able to defend this or not. He does lose this town center over here. Honestly, Squash can actually rebuild this or build this for himself. Go up to 5 town centers at this point here. As the army surrounding this location, town center just about to fall. If we take a look at Grassengroom's population here, 92 of 120 population on this location here. Going to be a very, very difficult thing to deal with moving forward. As the Rag Heroes doing everything they can. There goes the town center. Son of Osiris here, very low HP. Grassengroom, 60 population, very little villagers on resources here. Squash, on the other hand, 150 of 160, starting to rebuild units from all of his 4 town centers here, plus his trade route. He's getting 5 villagers every 14 seconds as the Son of Osiris does end up getting taken out there. And Grassengroom decides to tap out. GG, well played by Squash, showing what I think is an incredibly strong way to play on Anatolia. I do think there's some tweaks to be had in terms of his build order, but the idea of doing some sort of a 2-town center Mythic Age into a Baldur or Fimbulwinter here, definitely the way to go. Heroic Age, not overcommitting, putting some real strong play on actually in the Heroic Age here against Grassengroom. I think he really punished Grassengroom for the overcommitment here on Anatolia. And I think for those of you who want to get to that next level on Anatolia or Midgard, you got to start thinking about what your opponent can do and what your opponent can't do. So when it comes down to it, your opponent, an Egyptian player here, and not just Egyptian, but everyone, this is kind of the flowchart in the Classical Age. If your opponent goes for heavy on the water, it means they are not getting a clean Heroic Age. They can't get that 500 gold they need to spend the food, whereas you can. So you can find an advantage in the Heroic Age to fight back against that overcommitment on water. Furthermore, if they play very equal, then you have to, don't go too aggressive on the water, then you know they're going to be getting a Heroic Age, so you can play around that. And all the other things that happen on this map are very important to have in the back of your mind, and you can learn from simply just playing it a bunch and learning what the right way to play is. Because I do think that for the most part, playing Egyptian here is very streamlined. It's very easy to play Egyptian here, and you have to, and knowing that flowchart doesn't really matter so much because it's so obvious what you need to do, or what you can do. Whereas on the other side of the coin, I think knowing the flowchart and having a good idea of how to react to every single situation is incredibly important. But a nice play here from Squash nonetheless. If you guys enjoyed this one, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.